Welcome everyone to another Astral interview. And here with me, I have Nicole Borghi. And I'm going to let Nicole tell us a little bit about herself, starting with something about your past, like where you grew up. Tell us a little bit about your life.
Well, I'm from the Bay Area,
Wow.
and I was raised in San Jose, California.
Okay.
I had my first real experiences that I remember besides dreams or kind of working with fairies and entities in the room and talking, going kind of through some doorways and portals. That was normal for me. But I really, had my first experience with Marcel Vogel in Silicon Valley. Um,
Wow.
so that
Uh,
was amazing. Yeah, I really
yeah, the
lucked out. Didn't realize what that was till I got older and just being a kid, having fun,
yeah.
swimming in the pool, meeting people, meeting friends.
Yeah, I have one of his crystals and had the opportunity to work with it. So yeah, amazing, amazing, amazing. Before we talk about Marcel Vogel and the crystals, so go back for me a little bit. And you mentioned experiences growing up. Can you like share maybe your very first one, for example, that you can?
Um, well, one of the ones that really had an impact on my life was a lot of under earth dreams that I would have
Oh,
reoccurring. So
yeah,
inner earth or
yeah, yeah,
I didn't understand the
yeah,
energy and the kind of volcanic areas that was there. Maybe some lava, things like that. There was a few catastrophe dreams, which really now resonate with the times of now.
right,
Um,
right.
and now I understand why I had that dream. And, things like, stairs and caves,
Hmm.
a lot of just,
I've had one.
yeah, did you? Just a lot of traveling and a lot of weirdness that
Yeah,
I wasn't able to communicate with people. So
yeah,
now,
tunnels and paths, and for me it was like dirt tunnel that I was going through, and it was like it only went one way. But as I was going down this tunnel, there's there's these beings, and they're working. It looked like they were doing something really important, and they had to get done. And when one of them saw me, it was like hey, you're not supposed to be here, kind of feeling, right? But tell us about yours, because I don't want to talk about mine.
oh no, I love sharing, because you have these experiences, and when you connect with
Absolutely,
people, you kind of have that same experience. That's why you're having that soulful connection, right? And
absolutely.
that's how you get illuminated when you speak with people, like-minded people, and you're on that same path. And
Right,
it's so wonderful to do that.
absolutely.
Just for me, it was, just really in this last year, I've started to realize it with the veil thinning. Um,
Right,
and the portals more and more opening, what I did when I was younger. So a
right,
lot of traveling, a lot of astral traveling, a lot of going through doors, kind of like Monsters Inc. If
right,
you ever
right.
watched that Pixar
Of
one
course.
where they're going through the kids, they've got all the fear going
Yeah.
into the kids and they're draining these kids and they're scaring these kids. So I traveled a lot through my doors. Um, Under the bed, or I had stuffed animals that I talked to, but they actually had lives, so
Right.
there was more of an intricate story than, Mr. Penguin and Mr. Teddy Bear. My mom would
Right.
come in my room. I'd be having we weren't just having a tea party. We were having full on life conversations
So
about
like
their
Toy
life.
Story.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, and so it's like they were, kind of using the animals to talk and connect because it was a softer connection for me.
Right. Right.
Um, my mom worked at Hewlett Packard back in the day, so
Oh,
we used to have these big picnics in
right.
Big Basin, and we would have these parties and carnivals and stuff like that. And I would just take off into the woods and walk around and start talking to the beings and fairies and trees, and just it was just normal for me to do
Right.
that and didn't understand. I thought
Well,
other kids understood that.
yes. You
What do
you
I
you
know?
basically thought everyone was experiencing the same thing. It wasn't wasn't anything out of ordinary, and didn't realize that it was unique to you. And maybe it isn't unique to you, and maybe everyone does experience it, but the odd person only talks about it.
Well, that was it. So I had to embrace the crazy through the years and understand, okay, you guys see it, but how to articulate it where
Yeah.
they'll be more comfortable talking about it. It's kind of
Right.
like when you do, I do shadow work and inner
Yeah.
child work. And
Yeah.
it's all about the articulation, especially if
Right.
I'm speaking. It's
Yeah.
about how to connect to the audience. So when you talk to people, if I'm watching, if we're talking about a movie or supernatural, when the brothers are cruising in their car down the road and they've got all these haunting kits and all this paranormal stuff, and they've got all these
Hmm.
sigils, and they're traveling with uh, the angels and everything. So you can now have a conversation with people,
Right.
right?
Right.
And you can have a
Right.
comfortable conversation. What you're talking about the cars, and oh, that wouldn't that be funny to, ghost hunt? Oh yeah, I remember when I was young, we would
Right.
go into the house and clear the houses when I was 9.
Right.
So now
Wow.
you could bring that into the conversation.
Right. So you mentioned
Yeah.
a few things. You mentioned shadow work, you mentioned birthing, you mentioned sigils. Now, for those that are watching this and don't have any idea what those are, can you say a little bit about each of those so that we can open it up for everyone?
Oh, absolutely. I don't want to leave anybody out because to me, it's just so fascinating, and I get into it. Just uh, when you're talking about kind of your tools of the trade, when you're ghost busting from the 1980s, right? And what tools do you use if you're using maybe an incense, frankincense, and myrrh to bless the house, or sigils, or even if you're into maybe runic stones,
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
understand the transcribing on the rocks or the
Right.
runes,
Right.
and those are signs and those are symbols. And when you write them, you wherever you put them in that moment, you're putting that power, maybe a spell or some magic into it. And that's kind of how you're working it. That's that intent and putting your
That's
power
right.
in there. Hopefully for protection,
Right.
and you kind of learn that. And when I talk to my clients, I don't really get into. Uh, I don't try to make it too difficult, like I'm a know-it-all, because I really like to simplify it so we can all be on the same page. It's just it's just really going in, and some of the other tools you can use. Maybe make a writing, make it on a piece of paper, kind of like a heart. So
Hmm.
it's all symbols. It's all symbology.
Right.
Uh,
And the value of symbologies, like symbols, are given power by intent, correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So,
It's the intent and the knowledge of that power at the time.
right. Right. And so give us an example of maybe a sigil that you've worked with or an experience you've had with a sigil, and share the outcome and what happened, or a possible client experience even.
Really, what I work with is either certain symbols, even certain hearts, even if I do an energy client, or even go to a house, um, and work, either whether it's Reiki or working on a house and doing some clearings or some blessings. It's I use simple symbolism like hearts, because I want to go with love and that intention and that protection.
Mhm.
Even crosses, or there's the shoku ray symbol from Reiki. The
Reiki, yeah.
first three simplified symbols. If you look that up.
Mhm.
Um, Even the symbols for, in a chakra clearing or chakra balancing, just simple ones from the seven chakras.
Mhm.
Just
Yeah.
those simple sigil. I don't make. Some of them I use are from the runic stones, and I'm using
Mhm.
those a little bit more. That's kind of my connection right now on my path.
Right.
Being able to use those simplified ones like Feihu, and a lot of strength and power. If I'm working on maybe abundance or manifesting, adding those. And runic stones you can actually pile together, and you can make a symbol out of two or three and
Right.
combine them to make kind of a more powerful symbol.
Right.
And you can put it in your little bag of tricks, and put that in there and add that intention to it, and understanding the power that you're putting forward. with that. And of course, it's you know, own like you said, it's only as good as the intention,
Mhm.
the energy, and the understanding that you have with that power, with that symbol.
So give us an idea. So you do house clearings, right?
Right.
So tell us about the most amazing experience you've had doing a house clearing. What was that? What happened?
Well, it wasn't amazing and it's good, but it was a life lesson. And
Okay.
that's kind of what brought me into more shadow work and inner child work as I
Mhm.
grew up, and protection. A lot of more symbolism into protection and making sure to protect myself. I was about 9 years old. My mom had started on that new agey path in the 80s. And
Right.
we were learning about crystals and energy, things like that. And I could be able to hold a crystal and just uh, bring back certain memories or look in kind of view into certain situations and circumstance. Of course, I didn't have all the stress and things going on like as you do as an adult, a mom,
Mhm.
you know, or a daughter or family member where you have to work and things like that. So it was much more clear for me. Um, but what I didn't know was I knew what I saw, and I can say what you know, whether it was a shadow or an angel or any entity at the time,
Right.
whatever it you know, spoke to me as, you know, kind of channeling
Right. Yeah.
um, through that time, but not protecting myself. Oh,
Uh,
we didn't do the blessings, we didn't
right.
do the protection, and
So
we
here's where
just
we realize we need those.
yeah, well, we watched Ghostbusters. We knew Marcel Vogel. We knew about crystals, so we went in. Here
Right.
we go, right? You
I
know,
wanted to share. I wanted to share with you just really quickly here because, for whatever reason, I was going to use this background,
awesome. I love that.
and for whatever reason, I changed my mind and took the crystal out. But like, it kept going back to this picture. It was so weird, and like, just
This is
thought I'd share that
beautiful.
with you.
Those beautifully cut. It's such a beautiful cut.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah, there again the connection of how
Yeah.
we're picking up the energy before we start together.
Yeah.
And but you know, we uh back to that story, we didn't have the protection, so we shut
Yeah.
off. We did a
Right.
lot of clearing, and I saw a lot of things, so I connected. And you know, you pick up energy. You're empathic. You see
Yeah.
things, and as a child, I didn't know. So I counted on the people around me or the people I was with, you
Mhm.
know, family,
Yeah.
to do that protection, and
Right.
we didn't do it. So it opened some things. It kind of opened back Pandora's box.
So you actually were a Ghostbuster at that moment.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it opens Pandora's box if you don't know when you're an open and you're a medium. Uh,
Yeah.
you just open the door and it floods in,
Right.
especially if you're light
Yeah.
or you know, you're of the light. You're the unicorn, right? And
Right.
everybody's attracted to that energy,
So
and they
what
just
happened?
just a lot of dark energy came in, a lot of negative energy came in. That was the last of it until probably, I don't know, about 40 years later that I
Right.
came really started to come back, and embrace everything that I had done,
Right.
and
Okay.
embrace, you know, being able to be protected and have faith in myself, to
Okay.
know the, you know, the good energy, the bad energy, how to protect myself, how to teach people to protect themselves,
Right.
you know, go in and see things. I can't really turn it off. For me, it's not, there's really no off switch.
Okay.
It's to know to avoid the circumstance,
Right.
and to trust, you know, okay, this is not a place you need to be in.
So
And
you
just really avoid, you know, avoid that and go into a different circumstance, or even with certain people, excuse me, and kind of led me on a bad path in my teenage years.
of course. So
Yeah.
did you like work with Ouija boards or anything like that in that time?
No, no.
No.
Mm-mm.
So it wasn't planned. It was sort of by accident that it happened, and then you had these experiences with the dark forces. And would you say those experiences scared you, or did you say that you realized that there was nothing really to fear, and that they were energies and that you had the power?
Oh, I didn't know that at the time.
Right,
It was just dark, and it was just very dark to me, and a lot had attached itself to me, and I didn't know how to navigate that.
right,
And there was nobody clearing it from me, especially as a child when you're just so open. And it
right.
was very tragic. It was a very tragic experience
Oh,
at the time. And it really defined my years.
right,
Um,
right. And
so, yeah.
how did it affect you in your life, would you say? Like, give us examples of how it affected you from day to day. Like, where was did it cause your
Depression,
mind?
anger, rage,
Right,
um, anything and everything that I could possibly do as a teenager. I was a partier. I
right.
drank a lot.
Oh,
I was a teenage mom. I had really like not just the bad boyfriend, but I had a lot of situations that I would go
mhm.
into that were really dark, and I was comfortable with that. And I realized as an adult that my gift is to see and show other people
Not to
that
the
shadow self.
right,
And now I can understand that my gift is to see that chaos
right,
and show people how to navigate through that. And that's how I came here is to not see it as a, like you said, not see it as a dark energy, but understand that it is energy, it is a vibration.
yeah,
um but where it is at the time,
right.
understand where it's at, and not meet it at there, and not allow that to come in to
So,
my life.
so I want to ask you then, when you go into a home and you feel this energy, this dark energy, would you say it's as a result of the physical surroundings, or is it as a result of the people in the physical surroundings?
And
Or
it
is it,
Yeah,
have nothing to do with either?
it depends on the circumstance.
Okay.
When I go into, if I go into a house now, it is a conversation with a person unless I've already met them. It
Right.
is definitely a conversation with a client. Even
Yeah.
in my coaching sessions, it is a
Right.
conversation with the client to find out where they're at. Where's their depression at? Where's their anger at?
Right.
What level of vibration are they vibrating at?
Right.
First and foremost, to understand and to speak to them, speak to their higher self.
Right.
If is there something that they've opened up and attached to themselves or allowed to attach to them? Is it something that is attached to their home?
Right.
What is it? So I have to talk to them and really feel into that. Uh,
Hmm.
do some meditation afterwards and really go into that, and
Right.
and really take some time and pause and kind of pause and pray before the phone call even. What
Right.
kind of phone call is it going to be? And really listen to that intuition, what's coming in. And then
Okay.
really viewing into, if, as long as they give me permission, uh, is really viewing into their circumstance.
Right. I hear you.
What is the energy involved in your house? What is the energy involved in you? And what relationship? Maybe, and sometimes, it can be maybe a roommate moved out. What was
Right.
the roommate like?
Hmm.
And I'll asking them
So,
certain questions to kind of really get the details of the person energy that they're clearing, or is it a new house that's going in, or what were the circumstances that led you to calling me?
that communication with the client is key to resolving the situation, basically, right?
It's huge because I want to know ahead of time what I'm
Yeah.
going into, or if I'm going to be able to go into that, or if I'm needed to go into that situation,
Right. Right. Right.
right?
Yeah.
Because you don't want to
Um,
go into a house and clear all the energy, and then it's the client doesn't want to do any of the work afterwards, right?
right. So you mentioned that as you were younger and growing up, you experienced all these energies, and now as an adult you understand it and are helping people. But the question I want to ask you is, did you you also mentioned mediumship and the fact that you're a medium. Did you get training from anyone as to what to do, or was it all experiential?
As a child, it was experiential. It was my mother and some family members going through that training at the time, and they were having groups, but I would
Right.
come in and just give them the information and walk away. So they'd be in this big circle,
Right.
doing their whether they were doing a seance or a meditation or a prayer, and they were
Right.
chanting,
Yeah.
and I would just come in like a little kid and be like, "Oh, this is what you're talking about." And
Right.
this
So
is what you're
you
searching
were
for.
coming
Yeah.
from knowingness.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. Well, that's that's quite a responsibility that was sort of put on you as a young child to have the knowingness of what was going on in your parents' circles.
Yeah, it is. It is.
For
And
sure.
it's
Right?
as with anything. Yeah.
So do you practice as a medium more so, or do you do clearings more so?
It's really right now. I do more coaching, and I work with intuitive energy readings for
Okay.
my clients. And so
Okay.
when I work with them, it's not a it's I'm working. I find I'm working more and more, especially with the way the energy is now. I'm working with clients on a weekly basis for a few weeks or a few
Okay.
sessions a month,
Right.
because I'm finding that it needs to be work.
Right.
Say homework, and people are like, whoa, but you need to be participatory
Yeah.
in this change. You
Right.
have
Because it's
struggled
your
to get to this point. Yeah. Yeah.
right.
And
Absolutely.
so it works with what is your desired outcome and where are you at? So
Yeah.
it's really
Makes
working with, yeah, what's in your energy field,
mhm.
or is it someone that's looking at depression, or somebody that's looking at it's time for my kids have left the home and I've got an empty nest and now I want to move on. I've had some of these visions,
Right.
and I want to learn more, so I need some guidance into my intuitive self and opening up. It's all about ascension, and it's all to get to a higher place, but where's the realism in it though too, is that's what this has taught me.
So is there a client that stands out for you, which you had an experience with that was quite amazing and quite traumatic that you want to share?
Uh, I've I'll say, yeah, definitely a recent one. We worked
Ah,
with,
cool.
yeah, we worked with a point of kind of sabotage, right? Where's that point of you're sabotaging your life, and why are you constantly doing this insane cycle? And why can you not get to your goal? And every time you try to reach your goal and get to your success point, uh, you kind of hit
Something
this
pulls
wall, right?
and something pulls you back. Yeah.
Right, right. And so it's really finding that where the client's at, and what they're ready to release. And it's kind of right now, it's kind of with this client, it's a little bit baby steps, but that's what they understand that,
Hmm.
because there's a lot that they come from.
Hmm.
And some of it's with the depression and aligned with alcoholism and the energy, that negative energy that they cycle through, and being able to clear it, to understand that the drinking's not just picking up the battle, but there's something inside that got them to that point, and why were they depressed or what happened. And we really did a lot of counseling and some energy work and a lot of clearing, and some consulting, and yes, some journaling and understanding what was coming up, because you don't want to do the clearing and you don't want to do the light work unless they understand that there is some work, because when you're detoxing, even on an herbal detox, you're cleansing, and your feelings and
Right.
emotions are just going to come up to the top,
Right.
right? And you have to understand what you're getting rid of and what are you releasing.
Yeah.
And so we've done a lot of journaling on that, and some talking, some heart awakening, and some compassion and some passion. Being, instead of a partner in pain, a partner in passionate action to move forward, and really getting them to understand that, hey, I went to the store and I was having a hard time because some things came up in our session. But I went to the store and I looked at the bottle and I went, you know, I'm okay right now because I understand why I do it.
Right.
And
Right.
that's really the crux. We can't clear our problems, and we can't diet, or we hit a plateau in the gym
Yeah.
because we don't know
Yeah.
is in our mind.
Right. And what that block is. And so
Right.
it's reaching that block and clearing that block. And so,
Yeah.
are there any tools or techniques that you share with your clients that you could share with us to help people that are watching this,
Yeah.
that you would
Yeah.
recommend?
Well, I always um anything you have, whether it's herbs, oils, or crystals, it's really the point of even just bringing some energies to your hands and putting it on the heart and just
Right.
breathing. And that's
Right.
the first lesson that I walk my clients through.
Right.
And it's so simple, but it's so powerful because wherever you go,
Right. You have.
you have your hands, and you can give that love, and you take a second, and I dare anybody just to breathe into your heart at the time you put your hand there, and not feel that light.
Right.
Not feel that difference in the energy and the
Right.
momentum, and just take a second to go, just in that breath, that change, and know that that power's within you, right?
Absolutely.
And that's just that awesomeness of that time, or even, uh we talk sometimes, whether they want to use like EFT, the tapping, and go through that, and it takes a long time to go through the procedure, and sometimes we're at a bad point, or we're having a really hard time, we can't think, and
Right.
clearing at that time or getting in a happier state isn't just going to come right quick. So even just tapping on the high heart or the thymus, and just because you're bringing attention to your heart space, you're
Yeah.
really just opening up your heart, and you're just really telling your mind, hey, I'm right here, and it's okay. And
Right.
just truly, it's forgiveness. And that's the third one, is just learning forgiveness, even the Ho'oponopono prayer, I forgive you, I love you, thank you, for yourself.
Yeah.
um,
So, for those who don't know what Ho'oponopono is, could you share a little bit?
yeah, it's really just, I forgive you, I love you, thank you. Those are basically the words in that, and just
Please.
telling yourself in that forgiveness moment that I Nicole, I'll just use my name. I forgive you. I love you. Thank you. Or even just bringing your hand to your heart and just breathing into that. And you start to feel, oh, it's okay to release my shame. It's okay to
Right.
release my guilt. And it's okay to breathe into that. And when you start forgiving yourself and you open your heart,
Right.
and that's the crux of you, your body, your soul, everything, your connection.
Right.
If your heart space isn't open, you can't focus your mind. You can't even do affirmations because it's not going to come there, because your heart isn't open to receive it.
Right. Right. Absolutely. Hello, everyone. Welcome again, Nicole. We had to do a part two of Nicole's interview. So, we were talking a lot about clearings. Do you want to just go into that a little bit more?
You start to kind of channel in that zone when you recall
Yeah,
these things too. And,
absolutely.
and, just coming back into it, of course, with all the energy right now, just going amok, and it's reprogramming everything, and we're getting lapses. It's just kind of reminds me of the epilepsy or having seizures, when you kind of have that little zap of energy, or that
Right.
missing connection somewhere. It seems the whole world has kind of conquered that right now. But just with clearings, with clients, I'm finding a lot more of clients are having a deeper, that kind of shadow energy coming up,
Right.
where their shadow self has come up, and they're reliving the trauma almost.
Right.
And I don't want them to ever relive the trauma. And
Of
and
course.
so trying to clear that in a more comforting, forgiving fashion, to bring
Right.
that up on a soul level, because that shadow kind of reflects to us, sometimes it mirrors to us what other people are showing us in our souls.
Right.
Though that person we don't like, or the person we don't want to be,
Right.
that we're hiding from. Not the person
Right.
you want to be, goal setting, a happier, more positive, prosperous, abundant person, but that person that we're kind of stuck with and that we want to forget and push down deep inside. It was more of a client. One of the last ones I had was an alcoholic, and some trauma. I'm actually doing a summit on this at the same time that corresponding, nothing's a
Mhm.
coincidence, right?
Right.
So I'm also doing a summit on the sexual trauma, which brings up a lot of darker or negative energies.
Right.
And if you're at a point where you can't differentiate the difference on those and protecting yourself, a lot of that will manifest within you. And
Right.
it will start to come up, and it'll definitely have a reflection on your life.
Right.
And it just a negative depression, and you're so open and so voided that you're just trying to fill it and cover it up with anything. So that pain you're trying to cover up with alcohol or opioids, whatever it is that we want to hide and mask with, a lot of smoking. And I was just blessed to have this client that was able to receive healing and was open to doing some of that work on themselves through the last 4 weeks, and being able to just be able to bring that up and kind of flush it out, where
Right.
they had and it was just a dark, treacherous time in their life when they were younger, but really flushing it out and clearing it so they can fill up their cup, so to say, and warm up their heart and find forgiveness for the situation
Right.
and the person. Not forgetting that. You don't necessarily want to forget the circumstances. You want to keep it in a file. It's not something you want to live every day. You want to keep it in a file so you understand the experience and you can learn from that, and maybe share and teach with others from that experience on a day-to-day life. Use it more as a gift instead of a
Right.
pain. Um, but you want to understand that so you avoid any other circumstances in life that will kind of sabotage that or bring more pain into your life, and being able to clear that up, filling her heart space, and where she's not drinking, she's not living the pain every day. There's some bouts with it, definitely, but that's not a painful day, because you have to clear that and detach that negativity from your soul. And when you're living in that pain and that darkness, what happens is commonly you're allowing more and more either entities or darkness or shadow or depression or whatever level you're looking at it come back into your life, and you're a medium, opening up the door and just allowing the junk to kind of fill in at any
Right.
point. Anybody to kind of dump their trash on you, you take in.
Right.
Even in an emotional or as an empath, you just kind of flesh it out. And then you're at a dark point of your life all the time, and you can't reach anything.
But
You just
anything you're bringing in that's negative is really, you should consider it as a gift because it's helping you clear your negativity or your darkness. Is that right?
It can, but I would really, I don't want to just say blanketly that any negativity is a positive thing, because you have to understand the
Right.
differentiate between the two. It's like a connection, a plug into the socket. You have an
Right.
AC and a DC connection, and you have different wattages, like even
Right.
light bulbs. If you screw in the wrong light bulb, you're not going to get the wattage or the brightness you need at a lower light, or an old dead
Right.
light bulb that may be broken. Well, that old filament was broken. You screw it in and you might get a little bit of electrocution. So you have to understand the differentiate and differentiate between that. Not you. If we feel some people's heads, I think right now, where people are looking for healing and say every negative experience is a good one, you have to understand how it can be good. And that's why you need healers like us to
Absolutely.
help you cross through that. And then once
Right.
you have been taught and you see that, then you're able to look at it. How can it be a positive experience? How can
Right.
you learn from that? Definitely.
Right. Right. And absolutely, not to say that a negative um, situation in life is good, because of course nothing negative is good, but it does have, there is a light at the end of that tunnel if
Yeah.
you approach it properly and if you handle it with wisdom rather than reactory methods. Correct?
Oh, correct, correct. We're passionate human beings, and we need to give ourselves the ability to feel our emotions. That's kind of some part of why we came here, is to
Hmm.
feel the human experience, love,
Right.
hate, pain, joy,
Right.
friendships, first loves, anything like that, some catastrophe and how to overcome it. Because even a catastrophe, when, like you said, when you do overcome, it's a blessing that you rise above it. Now you're the
Right.
cream of the crop. Now you're the cream that rises to the top in that coffee cup. And now you see it as
Right.
a great experience, and you can learn and share with others and be prosperous with that, and learn, what is it truly at that level? How do you, it's now it's a mindset. Once you felt that negativity, or once you felt that burdensome moment, or even crossed over from the dark to the light, or gone through a possession or anything like that, it's you're going through a mindset reboot. And now you can transform. Now you can share the reprogramming. Now you can understand who you are and love yourself and have self-respect once you have that freedom and you've gone through that path. But you have to go through the entire path to
Right.
cross over.
Right.
Absolutely.
And so when we're talking about possessions, um, you mentioned them briefly, and the possessions that come into your life, are they related to your mental state at the moment? Or is it possible for someone to receive a possession regardless of what state they're in emotionally?
It has absolutely a lot of what you're in at emotionally. You need to be aware. You need to be the witness witnessing. You need to, once you are empowered to be a witness, and once you're empowered to be aware of your surroundings and who you're with, this is a point where it is safe to judge. You're not
Right.
judging somebody for the first time, but judgment in, okay, what is my experience, and that I'm bringing to the table in this situation? It
Right.
is the theory of relativity. What experience do you have? Where are you standing at the moment? And what are you actually seeing? Is it a play on your eyes, or play on your vision, or a play on your emotions? Are
Right.
you seeing two people hugging and embracing lovingly? Are you seeing two people kind of fight and push away from each other? It really is a based on the totality of your emotions, your emotional experience, and your experience at the time. Really, where are you standing? How are you witnessing? Are you
Right.
in pain, or are you in a pleasureful situation where you can acknowledge it?
Right.
So now that you are aware and bearing witness to what's going on, let's say you're just going into a haunted house. If you're going into a haunted house and you're going maybe on a paranormal hunt, we went to Binion's last year
Yeah.
before this whole thing
Right.
closed down, and we are lucky to go through there through the Apache Hotel and do one of those paranormal hunts and just walk through with a group of people,
Hmm.
and do a little bit of a seance in there, and listen in on the conversation through the other dimensions and the realms, really experiencing other people's experience. But what are you aware of? And watching, I love to watch other people, especially for the
Hmm.
first time. What are they aware of? What are their experiences from before? And have they protected themselves? you know, are you at a good place? It's just like your immune system. If your immune system is healthy and it's cold season, you're probably going to be able to combat it at a higher level.
Right.
If you're eating right, you're drinking lots of water, you're taking supplements, you're healthy, you're breathing good, clear oxygen, you're exercising, you're getting some sunshine, then you're going to be able to combat that. This the same with a dark energy, a negative energy, or getting possessed. And also, some people do invite that in, and people forget that. Like, hey, I don't think that, sometimes their mental state of mind could be like, oh, I want to see what this feels like. I want to
Right.
try on this experience.
Right.
And they're allowing that to come through.
Right.
Or have they not seen it? Have they
Mhm.
not, do they not know what they're getting into?
Right.
And are they not combating it? Because, you know, this is a time when you're aware of what's the energy, how is the feeling changing? How am I feeling? Is the room cold? Is it getting hot all of a sudden? Uh, am I seeing or talking uh, to something else besides the person I've come in with? What is talking to me? What has
Right.
come into, what spirit has come into this
Right.
dimension or allowed me to see it?
Right.
Or how is it making me feel? Am I having feelings that I've never had before? Or seeing or hearing things that I've never seen, felt, or heard before? If
Right.
it's a new situation, then this is where you kind of need to be analytical and say, hey, what's going on? Am I aware of what's going on? Am I questioning? Hey, I don't want you in with me. I don't want you here. It's time to clear. Maybe call another person in, bring some more light, kind of compound and quantumize
Right.
that light. That's when you want to bring in tools if you don't understand what you're kind of battling against. What are you bringing to the fight?
Right.
You need to be prepared, especially now that the veils are thinning and so much is coming. Things are crossing over.
Yeah.
Circumstances are happening. I mean, even our videos, it's affecting our videos, our
Our
connection,
audio. Yeah.
our
Everything.
Wi-Fi's. It's
Yeah.
not just everybody using it, but it's the change in the energy. I don't know about you, but even my hair's just like so electric. It's just frizzy and all over the place. It's
Yeah. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
electricity.
Yeah. I was just it's just before we came on. It's like, why is my hair just so getting so tangled all the time all of a sudden?
It's bizarre, but are you paying attention to what's changing? But I know you do. You're an energy worker. You're like, okay, bizarre. It's not the fullness I was looking for today. But you know,
Absolutely.
those things, are we paying attention to? Are we aware? Are we kind of in judgment of, hey, whoa, this is a little bit different than usual. Let's kind of look at it.
Some personalities are changing too. Like the person you've known for years and years and years all of a sudden is behaving differently than they used to, and communicating differently than they used to, and dressing differently than they used to even. So yeah, I am definitely noticing that difference out there right now.
It's really an inner
And it's not
persona
just
that's
the
coming
mask.
out, right?
And it's not just the masks.
No. What it does is that symbolizes what we're hiding, right?
Right.
Symbolizes, kind of being quiet or
Yeah.
not speaking your voice, but it symbolizes that sense of what are we hiding? And some people within this energy modality, this energy change, they're feeling either if they're not embracing their true self and wanting to ascend on the lower level, that person, that shadow that they've been hiding inside is starting to creep out.
Right.
That negativity or that
Hmm.
hateful person where if they've always dressed up, now they're in their pajamas, right?
Yeah.
Or vice versa. I've
Yeah.
seen it be positive for people. Be
Right.
like, hey, wow, I've never seen you wear your hair this way, or I've
Right.
never seen your energy. You've just taken on a beautiful
Right.
persona and you're really feeling into this positive ascension energy and you're listening to the wisdom of your ancestors because we don't need to wait for the raven to travel over into the other realm, right? And bring the message back. It's boom, it's there. Are
Absolutely.
you listening? Are you asking and saying, hey, you know what? I feel I'm a little not guided right now. I'm in a judgment or analytical mode. Hey, ask your guides. Say, hey, can you show me the proper path?
Mhm.
Can you show me a sign I will understand so I
Yeah.
can make the decision I need to make? And
And you can
yeah.
experiment. Just experiment. If you've never done it before, just experiment. What do you have to lose, right? Hey, guides, I'm told you're here and I'm not sure if you are, but I'm going to try this, right?
Mhm.
And you'll be surprised.
Oh yeah, bam. It's just you'll be surprised if you ask if you want to quicken or hasten that message. Just say, "Hey guys, my guides, my team, hey team, can you show me a message something I'll understand?" Hey, maybe a frame will fall off the wall and hit you in the head. I've had that happen before. It jumped off the wall and just on the corner. Okay, got it, right? Or maybe flowers will be at your door. The other day we came home and some friends, neighbors had put poinsettias on our door, and my mother and I were just talking about it.
Right,
And it's like, hey, send me a message that I'm on the right path. Boom, there you are.
right.
Send me a message that we're in a loving state and having a loving confrontation conversation. Uh, and boom, there was something on the door. Do take it as a sign,
Absolutely.
you know. Um, just know and have faith, because the more faith and trust you put out there, more faith you have in it, the more it will show itself to you.
Right.
You know, as in, if you put all it in negativity, the feelings and the guidance and negativity, like
Right.
Murphy's Law, if it's going to happen, it will happen. Boom, it'll happen to you.
Right. Wow. Well, we've had so much fun discussing all kinds of different things. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for representing both sides, spirit and the emotional side. Thank you for being there as a light worker for everyone. Do you want to share a little bit about where they find you, what your podcast's all about, the websites, the sources to be able to access you?
Oh, sure, absolutely. If you go to illuminatevegas.com and look that up, you'll be able to download my new ebook. It's about conquer the imposter syndrome, and just it's a form of sabotage and emotional help for your creation, to drive you in your creation right now. And find me on Facebook. It's under Nicole Borghi. I'm there. It's either look up Nicole Borghi or Illuminate Vegas. My podcast is Soulful Illumination, is also at Oneness Talk Radio. And it's just a conscious lifting. It's about people's life stories, just like this, like the conversation we're having now. It's people's stories. How did they get to the point of their creation? How did they get to the point of their prosperity? And it's about that journey, because it doesn't just happen overnight, right? We
Right.
know it's a journey. We know there's a story. And I live for that passion and that
Right.
purpose in people.
Right. Wow. Thank you so much for joining us. It was a real pleasure. And I hope we can do this again sometime for some more chit chat and more topics.
Oh, absolutely. Looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole. Thank you. Love and light.